is set to continue, and as you can see, that is them safely through to the quarterfinals. They will play the winner of the Netherlands or the Czech Republic on Saturday night in Baku, but for the moment they can sit back and relax and wait for the winner of that one. But Kevin, like, look at the scenes here. That man certainly played his part. This is a dream scenario for Denmark, because we didn't see this coming.
No, we didn't think they'd be able to repeat the energy levels they showed against Russia tonight and against the defeat to Belgium, when they were excellent. Again tonight, they kept pushing and pushing like the Russian game, kept going. They didn't just sit back. They got the third goal, got the fourth goal, and the subs they brought on as well. You know, Jensen excellent when he came on. Cornelius up front, really good, really strong. They showed a bit of strength and depth. Just really impressive all round. Wales, poor. You know, didn't really show anything apart from the first 10 minutes, but Denmark were just, give them the credit where credit's due. They were excellent. Yeah, spare a thought for those two lads chatting about a different night. Teammates in one sense, and look, obviously different emotions here, Lisa. But Wales, you know, in a lot of ways they only have themselves to blame. They did not play well here tonight.
Yeah, I think they came out of the blocks, and when they didn't get a reward for that early pressure they had and that early bit of dominance, you know, I think Denmark were able to just absorb. But I really think Denmark were so clever. I think they totally negated Wales's game plan by winning midfield, and I think it was a brilliant platform for them. And when they did that, Wales had no other answers. They just cut out the supply to James, Bale and Ramsey. And when Wales don't have those lads on the ball, they had very little to offer. Whereas Denmark were able to, you know, you look at Dahlberg coming in, he gets 2 goals. Jensen came on, he was really good. Cornelius came on. Everyone who came on from the Danish bench made an impact on the game. And I think that's the difference. But I think they were really clever in their game plan. The way they executed it, I thought they just showed a little bit more, they were just a little bit more streetwise in how they approached the game than Wales were. And I think ultimately the quality that Denmark have in their team paid off. Richie, we talked about their spirit beforehand. I mean, look at those pictures. You can see it there.
Yeah, so everything Lisa said there about the footballing side of it, the quality they have, the performances, the lads who came off the bench, like it was brilliant footballing display. But scenes like this, on the top of the scenes we saw against Russia, 8 goals in a couple of games, like that's it's an incredible achievement by this group of players to be in the position they're in. And, you know, I talk about in the group stages or when you get to the knockout stages, things like momentum or belief or confidence or togetherness. They have everything. That group of players there have everything that you would ask of any group of players to have at this point of the tournament. So they know who they're playing next time. It's either the Netherlands or the Czech Republic. They're in the, you know, easier side of the draw than certainly the other side. So they must be feeling pretty good. Yeah, you can bet that they are, and they're straight into the quarterfinals. Yeah, and it really has been a night to savour. We've got a lot of goals to look at, Richie. So you're going to start us off with the 2-0, which in a lot of ways killed this game off. It did, yeah. I worried at half-time for Wales if they went 2-0 down, because for most of that first half they weren't showing much of an attacking threat going forward. And unfortunately that continued for most of the second half. But it started in the worst way possible, in defence. Like that positional, that mistake by Nico Williams, really costly. This is a replay. There's no doubt there. The ball did stay on the pitch. That's what VAR was looking at. That's why they checked it. There was a slight delay before the confirmation of the goal. But Braithwaite did really well. You could criticise Wales' defence for letting him get that far, putting the ball in, but poor Nico Williams, this is going to be something he's going to be thinking about for a hell of a long time. It's hard on a young man, isn't it? It is. It's just a really basic mistake to play the ball along the ground, back across your own goal, straight to the only opposition player in the box. So he'll be bitterly disappointed. But he was only one of several players who in the second half really struggled to impact the game in any kind of positive way. It was a kind of a collective failing by Wales, so I don't think people can point the finger too badly at just him. How much of that do you put down to just tiredness, Richie? Because they looked out on their feet. I think a lot of praise, will go to this Denmark performance. I'm sure internally in the Wales dressing room, they'll be talking openly about the things that they weren't happy with. Defensively they were poor. As an attacking threat, I think Lisa said before the break, I can't remember many moments that we sat here and were excited by anything Ramsey did, for example. Daniel James beyond the first 10 minutes. I don't really think he did much in the second half. Bale came in and out of it but didn't really do much. And Kiefer Moore was a handful of times but nothing really clinical. So In the dressing room, I think they'll have lots of reasons to kind of be disappointed with themselves, but I think the main focus here should be like the Denmark performance. It was so good. It was so full of energy. They were clinical up front. They looked relatively comfortable in the back. Factor in everything they've come through as well. I don't think you can talk about this Denmark team without mentioning what they've come through, but from a footballing point of view only, today was perfect.
Yeah, it was perfect. And Kevin, look, one of your favourite players on this Danish team scored a goal as well. You jumped up in studio when you saw this happen.
I had clips done up beforehand going to show him how good he'd been the tournament, and we ran out of time, unfortunately. He got cut for Ramsey and Bale, but he came good again.
See how that worked out for you?
Yeah, it was a bad choice. But he came, listen, another fantastic. He was brilliant against Russia. He was brilliant against Belgium. Getting forward, it was Jensen, I think, with the cross, cuts back in. He was left wing back all game. He's right-footed. Here, he'd been moved out. There'd been a couple of substitutions, got moved to right wing back. Really dangerous going forward. Cuts in. I think it's the first time I've seen him use his left foot all tournament. Fabulous composure. Great ball from Jensen. Come off the bench, shot with her strength from the bench, but just chops inside. Smash it. Look at like Wales. Still at this stage of the game, it's 2-0. Wales just need to get up the other end. 2-0 is a dangerous scoreline. What really impressed me about Denmark, they're still going forward trying to score. They still have people forward. Wales isn't half-hearted there. 3 lads standing on the line, one of them go out to him, you know. But great finish, and he's been brilliant for Denmark. He was the one that drove forward against Russia in the second half and scored an important goal as well. And all over the pitch, the energy they're still showing after what they've put into games and what they've been through. And not just energy and commitment and determination, but actual really good football brain. Braithwaite's goal we're going to see in a minute, fabulous for him because he's been excellent as well in the tournament. Really deserved a goal, hadn't got one yet. So all over, talking about the spirit and all that, but you'd sort of think they can go into the next game now if the Dutch or the Czech Republic, and you'd fancy him again in that game.
And crucially, Lisa, they score goals. Like they scored 4 goals in the last goal. You're going to show us Braithwaite's goal here as well. 4 goals in this game. They can score.
But coming into this game, and I mentioned it beforehand, they had created the most amount of scoring opportunities of any team in the group stages of the Euros coming into this game. And this again, I mean, the feat that Martin Braithwaite has here is just unbelievable. It's a great ball in, great little knockdown from Cornelius, and then he just shifts it back across. Totally wrong foots Joe Allen, and the ball's in the back of the net, and it's a great finish. And you know, you talk all the time about, I know it went to VAR and they double checked just to see if Cornelius's arm was offside, but obviously I think the ruling is that it's from your armpit. That's the only part of your body. But I still think like the technicality of this team, and people talk about Christian Eriksen as I suppose the centrepiece of this team. What struck me most about, albeit horrendous circumstances, but the players all across that team who have stepped up and shown what they're about and shown technical brilliance and courage and confidence and belief and backed themselves and creating some really, really sublime goals. I think there's a lot more quality in this Denmark team than people maybe thought about or saw before, and those boys are stepping up, and I wouldn't be surprised if there's shades of 1992 about this team.
Because I think some people might be dismissively attributing what they're doing as in like they're just riding a wave of emotion.
Yeah.
Or there's just psychological stuff or emotional stuff or non-footballing stuff, but that wouldn't be telling the whole story at all.
But it's crucial because, as you said, and Lisa referenced it there, it's a squad. You know, you look at the likes of Cornelius, you know, it's actually just, it's more than just the power of one.
It is, yeah, and the manager was able to make 5 substitutions in the second half, which is exactly what you would like to do. Now, one of them looked like it was an injury to Kjaer. We don't know how bad that was, but as a squad, as a collective effort, it's been superb.
Collectively then, on the Wales side, Lisa, look, they did have a couple of chances, but they didn't threaten an awful lot.
Not really. I think, you know, like I said, I think Denmark really stifled them. You see this ball comes across, and to be fair, Bale probably takes it off Kiefer Moore's head. Lack of communication in there. Again, another ball comes in, Bale takes him on, puts it. It's actually a really good ball into the back post, and it falls for Dan James. And I think the strike, I think in the replay you'll see it probably looks like it's going wide. And then the final chance comes from the Bale long throw. Wales really clutching at straws at this point. Bale probably the player you want in the box, but you know, it just kind of shows where Wales went to in order to try and find something in the game. But You know, if that's the highlight reel of what we're showing in terms of Wales' chances, I think it says everything about not only their performance, but the impact that Denmark's midfield had on their capacity to create in this game.
Their key players didn't play. I mean, we mentioned Ramsey and Bale as well, but like Kiefer Moore going off, Dan James going off, like there was lots of problems with that Wales team, Kevin.
Yeah, and who they bring on. You know, you see Denmark bring on and it's like there's been no change. People, they seamlessly come in and they're as good as, if not better than what's come off, whereas Wales make substitutions and they went further out of the game. You're thinking at 2-0 even, you're thinking, listen, they're going to have a go here, put Denmark under a little bit of pressure, create a couple of chances. You get to 2-1, it's, you know, they're right back in the game and fabulous last 15 or 20 minutes, but they never got going, never. Gareth Bale, apart from the first 10 minutes, I can't remember. I spoke about Aaron Ramsey beforehand and all the good things he'd done against Turkey, and he was anonymous tonight. So I suppose if you're relying on two people, if you can cancel those two people out, which Denmark managed to do, everyone else didn't. Like, we go through the Denmark team. I'm not going to name the clubs the Wales players play for, but the Denmark team, Chelsea, Milan, Southampton are the back three, Valencia, Spurs, Dortmund, Atlanta, and the front three of Sampdoria, Leipzig, Barcelona, and they're all playing for those clubs. So we've probably been wrong to dismiss Denmark a little bit in the lead up to this tournament, and you compare that to the Wales, the teams they play for, apart from Gareth Bale and Aaron Ramsey, if you can stop them to, as I said, you win the game, and they did that and did it convincingly and easily.
I don't think you could look at this Wales team and think, from what we've seen over the 4 games from them, that they deserve to be in the quarters. Do you know, some teams you can feel really aggrieved to lose in the last 16 because you were so good in the group stages. I thought they were very flat, very ordinary for most of the opening night against Switzerland, and by their own admission were really, really fortunate to draw that game. The second game was against Turkey, who've been the standout disappointment so far, and the Italy game was always going to go the way it was. So I think overall this is a just end for this Wales team. I don't think they can look and say they didn't get what they deserve from this tournament.
Yeah, interesting thoughts from Gareth Bale. Anything in that, Lisa? Does he have a point?
I don't think so.
What was he was praising his teammates for
going out kicking and screaming.
We'd rather go out kicking and screaming.
Yeah, like, I mean, I think they went out with a whimper, to be totally honest about it. I think they showed very little in the second half. I think they showed a lack of capacity to create when they couldn't win midfield, when they couldn't get the ball forward to Kiefer Moore. Players like Gareth Bale and Aaron Ramsey, who the team looked to create moments of magic, did nothing in that game. And I think players like him and those players, they need to take responsibility for that, because they created very little. We've seen the highlights reel there, and you know, I don't buy that they went out kicking and screaming there.
They went out kicking, got sent off. You know, it was more in frustration into their poor play, I'd imagine, frustration with themselves. They certainly didn't go out kicking and screaming in their play and creating chances.
He's trying to spin that as a positive.
Yeah.
We didn't meekly go out and look as if we didn't care.
Well, he's also targeting the referee there as well, saying that this is a bad mistake.
No, I wouldn't be too critical. Like, we've all, you know, when you do a post-match interview, you're very blinkered. Objectivity isn't a strong point of most players in that position, because you don't care about seeing things from a neutral perspective or referring to the laws of the game or anything like that. I agree the sending off was probably harsh, but to be praising your players for going around lashing at opponents and to be surrounding the referee and giving out about decisions.
But he also
is that a mark to praise you?
He said that referee decision took away them, and that goal took away their momentum. They didn't have any momentum in the game at that point.
Yeah.
We came out and started playing the second half.
It was 2 minutes into the second half.
They
had no momentum. They had no momentum from the 11th minute when Denmark got 3 corners in a row, and after that the whole momentum of the game changed. They had no momentum since then.
I think that's just the kind of things you say, don't you? He's probably reflecting on what was said at halftime in the dressing room. Their intention was to play. Their intention was to do X, Y and Z. They couldn't deliver on it. But when the goal came, it just meant that whatever their intentions were also went.
What happens for him now, Gareth Bale? I mean, everybody's wondering, you know, major tournaments are for people putting themselves in the shop window. What happens now? Where does he go?
Well, he's been in the window for quite a while. The issue with him isn't that people don't know what he's capable of or people don't know that he's available.
But have they seen him in this window and felt like he's the same player?
Why the same player as what? You certainly wouldn't see Gareth Bale as the same player as the one Madrid bought several years ago. You look at his club career over the last few years, and you wouldn't look at it as being somebody who is at the top of his game, fully committed that playing football is the most important thing, that it absolutely keeps him awake every night, that he's not playing at the weekend. He doesn't give off that vibe at all. And I don't think you would have seen enough from him this season at Tottenham to think, like, what's his weekly wage now? Whatever it is, you think, well, you've got to be absolutely outstanding for a club to go and pay money on him now. He's a year left in his contract. He's been really vague about what his intentions are. He said Ancelotti going back to the club isn't going to change the future. So whatever the decision was before Ancelotti went there is still the situation. So some people are speculating as to whether he'll just announce that he's given up the football, which even in itself, that people would speculate whether or not he has the hunger to keep going, I think is an issue.
Well, it's even, Lisa, if he continues to keep going, where does he go? Because if it's not Premier League football, he's tried going abroad. He's, like, what is a good fit for Gareth Bale at this stage of his career?
I think Gareth Bale is the only person really who knows that. Because I know people have questioned his motivation and questioned his consistency. There's no doubting the capacity that he has and the technical brilliance that he has. Like, he is a player who can produce moments of magic that not many players across the world can do. The biggest problem for years now has been consistency in his game. And really, I think it's a question for him, what comes next, because there's no easy leagues, or there's no, if you want to go for a team that's going to compete, it's going to be hard. And he's not necessarily going to be a guaranteed starter in any team he would go to now at the top level of the game.
He's caught up in the politics of the club as well, yes. So that's a key thing.
Real Madrid don't have the money. He's on a massive contract. They want him out there. He's hoping they'll offer him money to leave, and that's his waiting game, and that's why he's saying we'll see what happens. And that's, listen, it's football, and it's the way it goes. I wouldn't be surprised if he retired. He gives off that impression. And listen, if he does, fair dues to him. He's had a fantastic career. He's won everything he can at Real Madrid. He's gone there and been really successful. People forget what he did when he first went there. Listen, he's had quite a few years, but he still showed glimpses at Spurs to go to the right club, right manager, obviously on a totally different wage to what he's on now. He could still be an important player for a club in the Premier League. And I'm sure there's plenty that'd love to have him if he wants to do it.
Well, his Euros is over. Denmark's certainly is. And we're going to take a look at some of their other chances tonight, Kevin, because they have really, really impressed us this evening. Yeah,
again, look at the numbers forward here. It's that, in the second half, near the end, still trying to get forward, still full of energy, full of legs. I think this is Jensen. Came on and was really good. Listen, he's crossing this one, but when you see it from the other side, it nearly goes in. Again, I did the Russia game. I was talking about the numbers to get forward. It was at 2-0, and you think they're going to sit back and just try survive, get into the next round. No, get people forward. This is my man Mele out on the right-hand side, crossing it in. Or that's him actually going into the box and nearly scoring. Again, short corner Jensen who came on. Again, Tottenham players come on, was really impressive. That was, everything but score. At 2-0, that's, again, I'm repeating myself, but they just keep going forward, keep trying to score goals, don't sit back. They're an exciting team to watch. You sort of an image I did before this tournament with Denmark in my mind: sit back, soak up pressure, maybe try score a goal, win 1-0. And they haven't. Every game they've gone for, and they've made the tournament from their play. They've been the talking point, obviously, from what happened, but their style of play afterwards, really exciting, really good to watch. Another fantastic performance. Crucially, one thing, Richie, that could be something for them to consider is their captain got a nasty injury there tonight. We don't know the impact. They're playing again on Saturday. He'd be a huge loss. He would be, yeah. So much has been written about this fella's contribution and the way he handled himself and the way he reacted to Eriksen going down when he did, the way he supported the teammates afterwards, how he's spoken in the press, but also on the pitch. He's such a crucially important player for Denmark. So they have a week now till the next game next Saturday. He's heavily strapped up his thigh or his hamstring area, so we don't know how bad it is at this point, but it would be a huge blow for both him and Denmark, obviously. Yeah, because you can see, Kevin, how much he just carries this team. As Richie said, they all flocked towards him. Even when he was going off, he was getting lots of passes. You can see how much he means to them. Yeah, he was important. From the very first game, he got them together, they created that unity, how he dealt with Christian Eriksen's wife, going to her, he's really thoughtful captain, and that's what captains are all about, it's not the shouting and the roaring, it's being a leader in the dressing room, being someone who the players will look up to and admire, who the fans will look to and admire. Looking at him there, you'd imagine his tournament is over, but he's the type of guy I would imagine be sitting on the bench, a bit like, not to the extent, but Ronaldo in the last Euros final, nearly coaching from the bench, been there, been a positive influence. And be just as important off the pitch. And in fairness to Denmark, they've showed tonight they do have people who can come off and replace them. And They'll lose Christian Eriksen and they go again. They'll lose him and they'll go again. But I'm sure he'll be sticking around and making sure his presence is felt.
Yeah, I'm sure he will. We're going to take a look at the red card here, Kevin, and maybe you can all give your thoughts on this here. But look, you mentioned the kicking and screaming. This is exactly what they did on the pitch.
Yeah, listen, it's just frustration, isn't it? He's only been on the pitch a while as well. It's just a late, clumsy challenge. It's not a red card. He's dived in. It's not dangerous. It's just pure frustration. You're out of the tournament. Gareth Bale seemed to think of it as a positive. It's not really. It's just lazy frustration.
Do any of you think this is a red?
Not at all.
No.
Not at all. You can see there, he clearly trips him, and there's no intention to play the ball, and his intention is clearly just to frustratingly just chop down the opponent. But there's no real recklessness or dangerous play in it.
The contact is minimal. He actually just kind of clips the bottom of his foot. It's more like one of those little ones it's like a professional foul, where you just clip them from behind to take your yellow and regroup your team. They've numbers up probably, and it's just I don't see that as a red.
It's one of those really just emotional things. It's not professional. It's actually really unprofessional. You just let your emotions get carried away, forget where you are, forget the consequences, and just go for it.
Yeah, well, he definitely went for it, that's for sure. Lisa, our last piece tonight, just to look back, what seems like forever ago, the goal in the first half, which kicked us all off with Denmark tonight.
Yeah, and it was a brilliant goal. Again, I love that little ball in from Mæhle. Damsgaard does so well, and himself and Dahlberg combined so well in the first half. They were they were a new partnership, but they looked like they played together a lot. And the way he just cuts inside, opens up the space, and like I said earlier, the only place he can put that ball out of the reach of the goalkeeper is exactly where he puts it. It's a beautiful strike, 2 touches, opens up the space, and the technique to curl that and bend it around and put it in where he does, it's a super goal.
It really was, and it's one that has put them into the quarterfinals. As you can see there, they're on that side of the draw. They're in I wouldn't call it too easy, but it's definitely the easier half of the draw. And as you can see, they're going to have the Netherlands or the Czech Republic in the next game. Also on this side of the draw, you've got Sweden, Ukraine, England, Germany. They might feel, Richie, like they're dark horses here.
They'd have absolutely no reason not to go into the next game believing they can win it. From what we've seen from the Netherlands and Czech Republic so far, I don't think either of them have given a performance. Certainly the Denmark will think these lads aren't beatable or that we should fear them. But both of those teams, I think when they see footage of that match today, I think we'll have a lot of cause to be concerned, because they're hitting a level of performance now. 2 games in a row, 8 goals. So many celebration scenes, so many reasons to feel pretty great about themselves. It's so hard not to root for them. You just want them to go as far as they possibly can.
Yep. Last word to you on them, Kevin, because you've loved them today.
Yeah, I think they can play with freedom. They're now at a stage where everything they do is a bonus. Everyone loves them. They've got as further than they probably expected, and now go into the next round and just enjoy the game. Keep going forward. Keep trying to do what they do well. Don't sit back. Keep impressing us. Keep making us wanting to cheer for them.